The Alien franchise spans multiple planets across 4 centuries, and sometimes it's hard to understand the timeline. In today's video, we'll explore the Alien movies and comics in order to explain in detail the complete Alien story and timeline. Everything starts with the opening scene of Prometheus. It begins with a pale figure standing atop a waterfall on Earth. This is an engineer, a member of a dying breed that chose Earth to create new life in their image. The engineer drinks a mysterious black substance and begins to disintegrate. His remains swirl and coil in the water, forming DNA molecules, the foundation of all life on Earth. Millions of years later, in 2093, an archaeologist named Elizabeth Shaw finds a star map created by the engineers, and joins an expedition following the map to the moon LV-223. The movie follows the well-known formula of a voyage ending in disaster after an encounter with an engineer and the xenomorphs he created. Elizabeth Shaw and the android David escape as the sole survivors and head to the engineer homeworld in search of answers. Fast forward to the year 2104, and humanity has sent out the spaceship Covenant to colonize a planet named Aurigae 6. Following a human voice signal, the Covenant changes course, landing on an unknown habitable planet where they meet the android David. David's experiments on the planet using its native organisms, Elizabeth Shaw's body, and xenomorph DNA have created a range of new alien species. This story ends in a terrifying turn of events, with David infiltrating the Covenant, posing as its original android Walter. Nothing can stop him from using the colonists in stasis as his own personal lab. The next installment in our timeline is Ridley Scott's original 1979 movie, Alien. In the year 2122, the commercial spacecraft Nostromo is returning to Earth after an expedition. However, they change course when they detect what seems to be a distress signal from the nearby planet LV-426. By the time the Nostromo supercomputer, Mother, deciphers the signal as a warning beacon, the crew has already encountered the xenomorphs. 5 of the ship's 7 members are killed in the encounter, while the science officer Ash is revealed to be an android with orders to bring the alien to Earth. The sole survivor and protagonist of the series, Warrant Officer Ripley, destroys both Ash and the xenomorphs and places herself in stasis to return to Earth. 15 years after the destruction of the Nostromo, we have the setting of Alien Isolation, which is easily the best video game in the franchise. Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda Ripley, is offered an opportunity by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation to retrieve the Nostromo's flight recorder. Amanda lands on a space station named Sevastopol, but things fall apart pretty rapidly when they encounter an alien aboard the space station. As usual, Weyland-Yutani attempts to preserve the xenomorphs, even at the cost of sacrificing the crew. As Amanda, the player's goal is to survive against aliens, androids, and hostile humans. Following Isolation, we move on to another piece of media built from the wreckage of the Nostromo, Alien Romulus. In the year 2142, a Weyland-Yutani probe discovers a xenomorph cocoon, which is transported to a space station named Resistance. The space station contained 2 modules, named Romulus and Remus. Here, scientists experimented on the cocoon, which contained the xenomorph that killed the crew aboard the Nostromo. Romulus gives us an insight into Weyland-Yutani's true ambitions, when it's revealed that a potential drug named Z01 can be harvested from the xenomorphs. Z01 has the power to rewrite DNA, and we see that it can be used to rapidly accelerate healing, allowing humans to recover from being mauled by a xenomorph. After Romulus, we return to the original Alien trilogy with James Cameron's Aliens. In the year 2179, 57 years after the Nostromo was destroyed, Ellen Ripley is rescued and awoken from her stasis by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. During her absence, LV-426 was converted into a terraforming colony, but the colonists had lost contact with Earth. Ripley heads over to exterminate the xenomorphs along with a team of Marines, but eventually it becomes evident that the whole operation was an elaborate plan by Weyland-Yutani to retrieve the xenomorphs. This time, the real villains of the franchise hope to use alien DNA in their biological weapons research. Aliens is a key point in the franchise, as it introduces us to a xenomorph queen, revealing how the aliens build their colonies. However, the queen is thrown into space by Ripley at the end of the movie as she escapes with 2 other survivors, a young girl named Newt and Corporal Dwayne Hicks. David Fincher's Alien 3 picks up right where the prequel left off, as an egg hatches aboard the Sulaco, forcing Ripley, Hicks, and Newt to be ejected in an escape pod. They land on the prison planet of Fiorina 161, with only Ripley surviving the crash. It's revealed that an alien queen embryo is growing inside Ripley, once again spurring Weyland-Yutani into organizing a rescue mission for her. Alien 3 reveals that the xenomorphs are not limited in their choice of hosts, as the facehugger aboard the Sulaco infects a dog named Spike. The resulting xenomorph takes out almost all the prison inmates before Ripley finally manages to take it out. The movie ends with Ripley diving into the furnace of the prison's foundry to exterminate the alien queen embryo and keep it out of the hands of Weyland-Yutani. The wildly popular Alien comics published by Dark Horse start off at this point in our timeline, with Aliens Outbreak being set in 2192. Now, these comics must be non-canon, as they primarily feature Hicks and Newt, who were killed off rather unceremoniously in Alien 3. In Outbreak, Hicks leads a team of Marines in an ambitious mission to the Xenomorph homeworld to take them out once and for all. In typical Alien fashion, Hicks is betrayed by the government as he finds out that the true purpose of the mission is to obtain a Xenomorph specimen. However, he's saved by Newt and the mission ends with Hicks nuking the alien world, potentially wiping them out for good. Outbreak makes a unique contribution to the franchise by introducing religion as a theme for the first time. While our protagonists were gone, a xenomorph-worshipping cult emerged on Earth and released the aliens from the Bio-National Corporation facility they were trapped in. By the time Hicks and Newt return, Earth has fallen to the aliens, who telepathically communicate with Newt, sharing their disdain for mankind. Aliens Nightmare Asylum takes place in 2194, 2 years after the events of Outbreak. Newt and Hicks arrive in a military outpost operated by the ruthless and paranoid General Spears. Spears' base is basically a lab where he breeds and trains aliens to be soldiers. His ultimate plan is to attack Earth with his army of trained aliens and use the tamed xenomorphs to exterminate their own kind. While Spears puts his plan into action, Newt and Hicks escape to a nearby space station, not fully trusting the General's plan. It turns out that the aliens were simply biding their time, and they turned on General Spears, brutally killing him and joining the Xenomorph Queen on Earth. 4 years later, we find ourselves in the setting of the 2023 game, Aliens Dark Descent. The game takes place on a moon named Leith, where a shuttle named Bentonville drops off a set of cargo containers filled to the brim with xenomorphs. While the gameplay is all about fighting off adversaries, Dark Descent leans heavily into the concept of religious cults. The Darwin Era is a cult that worships the xenomorphs as higher life forms and vehemently opposes the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. This storyline dives deeper into how the aliens communicate by introducing us to Cassandra, a young female captive of the Darwin Era, who can telepathically access the xenomorph hive mind. 4 years after Dark Descent, we find ourselves on the planet LV-985. This is where the events of Fireteam Elite, the final game featured in this video, takes place. Responding to a distress call, a group of Marines rescue Dr. Timothy Heinecker, who reveals that Weyland-Yutani has been experimenting with xenomorph eggs and a pathogen of unknown origin on LV-985. The key antagonist in this game is a rogue AI named Cynthia, which aims to wipe out humanity by releasing the pathogen on Earth. While the Fireteam foils Cynthia's plans, the key takeaway of this game is that there is no end to corporate greed, as both Weyland-Yutani and their competitor Hyperdyne Systems race against the clock to claim LV-985 and the pathogen for themselves. After Dark Descent, let's return to the Alien comics with Aliens Genocide, which takes place in 2212. The Earth is slowly recovering from the devastation caused by the alien outbreak. Humans have discovered that xenomorph queens produce a substance called royal jelly. This can be used to transform xenomorph drones into the more advanced Praetorians, or even create a new queen if the existing one dies. Royal jelly can also be used to produce a potent performance-enhancing drug called Xenozip. The producers of this drug, Neopharm, couldn't keep up with the demand for their product and organized a mission to acquire royal jelly from the alien homeworld. This comic introduces us to the Red Xenomorphs, who fight a brutal civil war against the traditional Black variant. The mission team eventually destroys the Red Xenomorph nest using nuclear weapons, and steals the Black alien nest's royal jelly in the resulting confusion. The comic is iconic for presenting internal alien conflict and introducing royal jelly as a tool for human advancement built using alien DNA. The next comic in our timeline, Alien Labyrinth, takes place in 2218 and is known for introducing one of the most enigmatic human characters in the franchise, Dr. Paul Church. Church was held captive in a xenomorph hive, but managed to escape as the sole survivor after manipulating the aliens for weeks on end. He was rescued by the Colonial Marines, who promptly enlisted him at a research facility. Church's research demystified the aliens more than ever before, exposing their behavioral traits, inner workings, and weaknesses. He discovered a black mold that afflicted a fatal disease upon the aliens, a method to control them using electricity, and made considerable progress with alien telepathy. However, his time in captivity had really messed with the Doctor's mind, pushing him to work on projects like fusing humans with xenomorphs to create the perfect being. While there are many more comics in the Alien franchise, they mostly exist in separate settings and do not deepen the xenomorph lore. So let's dive right into the final stop in our timeline, Alien Resurrection. This movie picks up from the end of Alien 3 and fast forwards 2 centuries to the year 2381. Ellen Ripley's blood, collected shortly before her death, is used to create a new clone named Ripley 8, with a xenomorph embryo growing within her. The cloning process inadvertently merges Ripley's DNA with that of the xenomorph. giving Ripley 8 enhanced abilities such as increased strength, rapid healing, acidic blood, and a psychic link to the xenomorphs. This movie introduces us to even more variants created by experiments such as a new xenomorph queen with a human reproductive system. This allows her to give birth to live hybrid creatures known as the newborn. Ripley 8 eventually destroys the newborn, ensuring it doesn't reach Earth, and as she contemplates her future, we've reached the end of our timeline. Well, that's it for the Alien timeline. If you want to see another cool video, you can click on this one that's appearing on your screen. Click on it to see.